All right, so we're getting ready for the end of the volume unit test, and here's just the review to help explain some of the questions we've had. The first one, it says two different expressions that could be used to find the volume. It doesn't say actually find the volume, just write the expressions in cubic inches of the solid shown. So you need to divide the solid two different ways. So the first way, I'm going to do we'll do an A and a B. So A, length times width times height, and a B, length times width times height, and then we'll just add those together when we're done. So the length of A, so I'm looking for here to here, so I know that it's going to be the same as the back. The back is the same as the front top, and the front top will be the same as the bottom front. So my length is going to be 4. My width, front to back, which will be 6. So I'm looking for this right here, but it's not given there. It's not given up here, so I have to go over here and find the 6. Then the height, so the height of A is going to be 8. So that is done. So next I will go to B. So the length of B, the whole thing is 10, and this was 4 from earlier. So I'm just going to cross that out, and 10 minus 4 is going to be 6. So my length of B is 6. My width is still going to be 6. And my height, I have an 8 here and a 5 here vertically. So 8 minus 5 will give me 3 here. So 6, 6, 3. So it doesn't matter how you write that multiplication because the cumulative property, but I'm just going to write that like that. So as long as they have it somewhere, they can have 6, 3, 6, but it has to be those. So another way I can divide it would be this way. And I'm going to make this one an X and a Y just so we don't get confused with the A and the B again. And I'm going to need the same formula. So the length of X, 4, 4, 4. My width is still going to be 6. My height, I can use this one. The back height is 5, so the front is going to be 5 as well. Y, so now I'm only looking at this piece right here. The length is 10. The width is 6. And the height, as we did earlier, 8 minus 5, so it's going to be 3. So I'm going to just write that down. Doesn't matter which one's first. Parentheses, and then I'm going to add that to my other one. Okay, so and just write the expression. There's no, you don't have to solve it. We're good with that one. The next one we're looking for, the other way we taught them is that we can find the area of the base and multiply that by the number of layers, and then we'll get the height. So that was from, I think, lesson 1 where we did the more the layers version. So we did, so Manuel wants to fill the box. He needs 4 layers to fill the box. So we know that there's, so we're going to look at the bottom and then multiply that by 4. So, and then the answers are going to be the same if you just use the formula, but so we'll see how that works. So Manuel's method, so the base, the area of the base equals length times width, and it's right there on the printer, bud. And so the length is 6 and the width is 4, so the area of the base is going to be 24. So I'm going to take that area of the base, times it by 4 layers. Right there. All right, so they can use standard algorithm, or a lot of them will probably do repeated addition, and they get 96, and this is going to be cubic inches. Okay, so then we want to do it the volume formula. So then we're just going to do length times width times height equals volume. Length is 6, width is 4, length, width, height, and 4. And you're going to get 96. The answer is the same. Yes, the answers are the same. They're both 96. We just did the area of the base times the layers, or length times width times height. So they're going to be the same answers, just two different ways to solve the same problems. Some kids like the layers, and some kids just like writing down the LWH. So the next one we have is a figure in cubic units. So this one, it wants just the volume, and it doesn't give us a unit, it just says cubic units. So let's figure up the length, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can write a 4 there. The length, the width, it's just front to back, so there's only 1. The height, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can set up your formula, length times width times height. Length is 4, width is 1, height is 5. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 times 1 equals 20. And that's just going to be cubic units. Okay. So next, it says build a different rectangular prism using the same number of centimeter cubes as in the figure above. You can use a draw or formula to show your thinking. You can do, somebody today said 5 times 4 times 1. That one was given. Oh, but we can go 5 across the bottom instead. So 5 for the length, 4, and then a 1. You can do a 5 times 2 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. So different versions of that will all work. So 2, 2, 5. The length of 2. So it doesn't matter as long as you have the final cube, 20 cubic centimeters or centimeter cubes. You're going to get the same answer. So length times width just has to multiply to get the same answer. The next one, this one is a little more confusing. I wouldn't spend too much time on this one just because this came from last year's book, and we did division we did division before volume, and now we're doing volume 4. Just I'm not sure why the book changed it, the program we're using. So this one, it says the volume, so just start with my formula, and it has, so I put equals volume here. So 252 has a square base, sides that are 6 centimeters long. So I'm going to know 6 times 6, since it's a square, I know that both sides are going to be 6. I need to find that height. Okay, so 6 times 6 is 36. 36 times h. So this is where we wouldn't have this problem, just because we don't know how to do the division. So you could just guess if they don't know how to do it. So you can just pick a number. Let's say 6. It's pretty close. I'm thinking to 6. 6 times 6 is 36. We'll just do standard algorithm from right now. 18, 19, 20, 21. So I know that it's pretty close to 6. So if I add another 36, and then I'm going to get 252. So my answer is going to be 7. So the height equals 7. So we won't ask anything like that this time. This was from last year, but it's good practice. So make some of the kids really think today. The next one, unit cubes. Find the volume of Ethan's figure. So what I'm going to do, this says describe by using the number of layers. So we have to use that first method we used. So this figure, we're going to do area of the top, length times width equals area of the base. So 8 times 5, I know there's not 5, there's more than 5 cubes there, but let's just go, forget about that. So 8 times 5, so we know the area of the base is 40. And then we have 1, 2, 3 layers. So 40 times 3 layers. 4 times 3 is 12, and then add the 0. So it's mental math, 120. And this would be cubic centimeters. Okay. So doing it by layer approach, 5 times 8, so it'll be 40 on the top, and then there's 3 layers, so it'll be 120. Storage box in the shape of a rectangular prism. The box have a square base with the sides that are 2 feet. The height of the storage box is 4 feet. What is the volume of the storage box? So it's another square base. So I'm going to start out as I always do, length times width times height. And I'm going to get length is 2, width is 2, and the height is 4. Doesn't matter what we do. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 would be 16. And it says feet. So cubic feet. Or you could write 16 feet cubed. Either way. Okay. So the next one says a rectangular prism A is 10 inches long, 3 inches wide, 2 inches tall. Create 3 different prisms that have the same volume but different dimensions of prism A. So we have, first I need to find the volume of prism A, and then I can figure out what other dimensions I can use. So I'm going to start with the length times width times height to figure out the volume. The length is 10, the width is 3, and the height is 2. And so I'm going to do 6 first. 3 times 2 is 6 times 10. So I need a 60, and this is cubic inches. So many different ways you can do that. So just 3 numbers that multiply, you get 60. 5 times 6 times 2 would give you 60. 5 times 6 is 30, times 2 would give you 60. 15 times 2 equals 60. 5 times 4 is 20, times 3 will give you 60. 20 times 3 times 1. 6 times 10 times 1. 30 times 2 times 1. And you can also switch those around. Just do 3 times 20 times 1. So any different ways to do that. So that wraps up the volume review for tomorrow's quiz, our test over the first unit. So good luck, keep practicing. So length times width times height, make sure just practice what the length, the width, and the height is on those. That's what the problem were. We were having problems today to figuring out what the actual length was on these. So we're still working on that a lot. So good luck.